What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Daily Groomer podcast. I'm your host, Alex Martin, and today we have a very special guest here once again from improv comedy to mobile grooming business owner. I'm here with Jean Marie Arellano. We said it 5 times before the interview, and sometimes I'm still not getting it. Today to talk all things mobile grooming. She has 7 vans under her umbrella in Southern California, and she's going to break down some mobile business answers for us. So, Jean, thank you so much for coming here today. I have to ask right off the bat, you went from improv comedy to grooming. Are you still cracking jokes in the grooming vans? Did you think dogs were funny? How the heck did you get from comedy over to grooming?
Oh my gosh, my whole world is comedy. So I look at everything through a comic lens. And that's
I
the
love
only
it.
life. Because if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.
That's right. I mean, honestly, dogs are pretty funny too. And half the things they do, you could probably have bit after bit after bit if you were to pick up improv comedy again tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wasn't the comedian, although I do enjoy humor, but I probably could be a comic based on all the antics that you go through as a groomer. Absolutely, for sure.
Oh, it's crazy. Sometimes I wish that I could stick a little, like a little video camera or like a little GoPro in some of our community members' trucks just to see some of the things that happen in live time. Because I mean, it is all time. I'm sure you could tell us story after story of some of the things that you have seen in your vans as you've been building this.
Oh gosh. Well, people are doing that right now and they're throwing it on TikTok and it's super entertainment and very enjoyable to watch. So yeah, it's being done.
Yeah. I mean, people are right to do it. You guys are alone kind of all day in those vans. So it's like, hey, I got to share some of this funny stuff. But
Yeah.
before we get into anything here, Jane, I want you to walk us through how did you get from where you were? I know you were a bartender too before you were manager at the improv comedy place. But walk us through your journey into grooming because your story is pretty interesting and where you came from and how you got into your shoes today.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, before I got into mobile grooming or doing anything with pets, I was in the hospitality industry for 12 and a half years. It started with bartending, in my 20s, far from 20 today. And then I was in management in several different concepts. And then the last one was improv. I left improv because I just realized I just wanted to do something fulfilling and I wanted to do something with one of my passions. Of course, one of my passions is pets. And I went back to bartending and I was just passing out these cards. Like, I'm going to just watch dogs in my backyard to do something to get into doing something with dogs or animals. And a gentleman has said, my wife is a mobile pet groomer. You should go out with her one day. And honestly, this is in 2010. I had no idea even what a mobile pet groomer was. But for sure, I went out with her for a day and I just was so sold. I loved being outdoors with one pet at one time, playing with dogs, the clients, and oh my gosh, just everything about mobile grooming I was absolutely on board with.
And so this was before kind of like the big rise of mobile grooming too.
Yeah.
And you talked about you didn't even know what it was. When you would sit in the van with whoever this first lady was, the friend's wife, did you know anything about the world of dog grooming at all, or you just knew you loved dogs?
Just knew I loved dogs. Didn't even have dogs at the time. And, I just wanted to do something different, but I love the element of being outdoors and not enclosed in 4 walls. I'm a very free spirit. So that was one thing I loved. And then, when I saw her talking with the clients and she was just kind of family, I mean, it checked like all of the boxes really for me. And then she told me about a school, went to a local school while they were building my first trailer. I started with trailers, not vans. And so I had to learn that. And then I was off and running, months after that and was still learning for years after that. I mean, there's a lot to grooming a dog and many breeds and many, everybody knows, but still learning, you're always learning new stuff in mobile grooming. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you went from trailer to van. I feel like now the commonplace is to go straight to van. Do you think people today should explore the trailer option more, or do you think it's not really worth it anymore given the way I don't want to call it van technology, but you know, predominantly the way that vans have been outfitted now, do you think it's smarter to jump straight to a van or to jump from trailer to van like you did?
I think if you're beginning in mobile grooming and you're willing to learn how to manage it and drive a truck and trailer, which is not that hard, it's very intimidating to learn to drive it, but the cost is half the cost of a van. And if you don't really know that you're going to love mobile grooming, I think truck and trailer, maybe even a used one to get started, is the way to go. You'll learn a lot with that. And then when you're ready to upgrade to a van because you're sold that this is the business for you, then go to a van. My suggestion.
Okay. No, I like that. I mean, that's a good starting ground. And especially that cost. I know one of the biggest cons of getting into mobile grooming is that upfront cost that comes along with getting a van. I mean, they're, 90, 100 plus $1,000 these
Yeah.
days. I mean, it's crazy. I can even imagine like in 2010, it was probably half the price, if not a little, even a little bit less to get into mobile grooming then.
Oh yeah. I mean, I recently got into the vans in the last 2 years because it is such a big upfront cost. And then when you have these trucks and trailers and they're paid off, well, nobody wants a payment, after that. So yeah, I still have trucks and trailers, but we're only doing vans going forward.
Nice. Okay, cool. So take me back. You said you left this kind of ride around and you're like, okay, I'm going to grooming school. Did the person you were riding with, did she recommend that grooming school is the first best place to start? Or why did you go straight to grooming school instead of learning online or learning through an apprentice or something like that?
Well, again, this is 2010. If there was an online course, I wasn't aware of it, and neither were they. And really, you knew every mobile groomer in the area. Now there's you see a new one every day, really. But back then, I just went out with her for one day, and then she told me about this grooming school, and I signed up right away. And then had my first mobile built with them. So yeah, had there been online schooling, I don't know. I don't know if I would have done that. I think online schooling has a lot of value, but I think you got to touch the dogs too. It's very different when you're in front of dogs. And in fact, when we hire now, we really hire the people that have been in high volume type of settings, that have touched a lot of dogs and has seen a lot of like dog behavior, because that's a lot to learn. It takes a long time to learn dog behavior and anxiety and what not to do and what to do. And so, yeah.
I love it. I love it. There's oftentimes, checklists that people will make when they're looking to hire. And given the environment right now, I mean, if you can find any groomers, you're lucky, right? Let alone have a checklist that you go through and, select for certain qualities. If there was a checklist that you could make right now on hiring groomers for your growing business, what would be at the top of that?
Oh, well, we really already have checklists. I mean, this might, I don't want this to offend anybody, but I'm just going to tell you, I mean, we really try to hire Petco and PetSmart refugees, we call them, and everybody that's been super successful with us with Vanity Fur. I mean, I've had groomers with me 7, 8, 9 years, and they primarily, especially before, they all came from PetSmart. And a couple of our franchise owners, they also came from PetSmart. And we like that because you've learned so much in those scenarios, that, or even a high volume type of thing where you've dealt with dogs in kennel scenarios. In mobile, there's typically, really no kennel scenario. So they've gone through so much. So that is high on our criteria. Have a year experience. Groomers are a high commodity, and they should all, know that. And, and we need so many more grooming schools for sure. So kudos to the grooming schools that are teaching, grooming as well, because, that's a very necessary thing.
For sure. And I don't think anyone would fault you from hiring Petco, PetSmart refugees. I feel like 85% of our industry is Petco, PetSmart refugees. So I think you're still doing everyone a favor there, getting people out of corporate and into a more flexible and better, self-worth environment. What does Petco, PetSmart grooming training get wrong? Obviously, they do a lot of things right. And, again, that's not a hot take. They do, there's a reason that people hire out of Petco, PetSmart. But what do they get wrong? What's kind of the first few things you have to either retrain or train right away from a Petco, PetSmart refugee?
Well, I wouldn't even say Petco, PetSmart specifically. We train no matter what, because we really, our value system is safe and comfortable pet grooming, period. And so wherever they come from, when they come here, we are always going to train. And some people have come in and like, I already know, I've been grooming for 20 years. Well, we're still going to train you kind of the Vanity Fur way, because we do certain things down to warming the ear cleaner, that we put you in the shoes or the paws of the dog. If you get out of the bath, do you want to be blasted with cold air or hot air? So, like we kind of go through certain details of safety and comfort, regardless of where they come from. I don't know what perhaps, to answer your question, if they're doing anything wrong. I think there are two totally different groomer types in this industry. There are the creatives, the fancy groomers, and then there are pet groomers. And that's why the PetSmart, Petco type of groomers really have worked for us. I've hired a couple that really wanted to do the fancy contest groomer. They want to be contest grooming or creative coloring. And, our mobile grooming company isn't really for them, because they couldn't really do all of that fancy stuff here. And, it's just our clients just want clean and comfortable pets every 4 weeks that they can sleep with at night in their bed, so nothing that they do wrong, but, we love the volume in which they, expose a new groomer to.
No, I like that. I mean, and especially being new, it's almost like driving. Like the further you drive, the better you become, right? And it's like the more dogs you touch, truly the better you become. Not because maybe you're more skilled than the next, but it's a game of repetition when you're early. So I really like that. That's kind of the North Star metric, let's call it, that you guys look for. I'm curious. Take me back to day one of you going from trailer to vans. You said you're never going to do a trailer again, but you guys are going to be a van first model. How do you guys find your vans today, especially with, cost constraints, even demand constraints? It seems like everyone in the country wants a van right now. So how do you guys find your vans today?
Well, that is a wonderful question. So let me just start by, in 2010, when I went to that school, they also built the trailers. So when I worked in that trailer as a brand new groomer, I realized, because my brain always works at, how can I make this better? How can I make this better? How can I make this better? That trailer was not built for the large senior dog or the groomer. And so I'm picking up dogs, and it was bad. And so then I customized the next trailer and found a builder, customized that. That was much, much better, but not great. The next year, I customized with another builder. I'm trying to make it right. So I customized with another builder. That one was kind of like a Goldilocks. Like this one works. For the large senior dog, groomers don't have to lift. Groomers don't have to bend over. They don't have to do none of that. And then we train a ramp system. We do it to where it's comfortable and safe for both the groomer and the dog. Then I customized the fourth and the fifth one. Then finally, I found a gentleman that actually was at one of the groom expos, and he was brand new in his business. He was displaying a van. And I started talking with this gentleman over the course of the last couple of years. We've built an amazing van prototype, and it is not being sold to the masses currently. In fact, right now it is only available for our franchise system, but they are exclusive to us, and there's no generators. It's all lithium batteries, solar power. We can heat the water 3 ways. We've created something pretty unique, and they are engineer minds. And so we don't know where this is going to go for the masses.
Wow.
We want to keep it affordable. We want to be able to mass produce them. They are in talks with manufacturers in China to get these prefabricated and then assembled in Mexico, imported in. So we are really working towards the future when it comes to vans. So
that is amazing. I didn't know that coming in. I don't even know if that's public information, but that is crazy.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Yeah. How about that? Okay. So let's shift a little bit. You obviously know, not only have you built up a lot of vans, but going through all of this, research and development, you obviously know, some of the key elements here. Let's start unpeeling some of the layers of the onion here. Talk about, let's not do any brand names or anything, because that's not what we're about here to slander anyone or to even, compare against anything, but like traditional mobile grooming vans. What are a few things that, like, right off the bat, at least don't work for you guys? I know you mentioned like maybe the height of one of the counters for lifting, or of the table to lift the dog on. What other things did traditional vans just not have, or could be better?
Okay, there's so much here. So first of all, there are so many bells and whistles that these groomers are paying for. And then they don't even use all of those cabinets, or they don't use that thing, and then they're paying for all this stuff. And really, if you just simplify it, first of all, you can bring costs down. You really only need these certain things, and there's more than enough space in the van. But what I realized in other builders is that, let's just think about the large senior, because a lot of mobile groomers are dealing with senior pets. They can't go to Petco anymore. They can't get their German Shepherd with bad hips in their Mercedes or, their Honda and drive over and then get the car, all that stuff that goes into that. Forget about getting their senior pet there. Now, what about getting it into the mobile? The groomers have to figure out how to get it from the curb over here when the dog can't. Now, it's not that groomers aren't figuring this out, but there is a better way. And I did, before meeting this gentleman, try to talk to some van builders out there to see if they would do X, Y, and Z. And they weren't even open to the idea. And I just thought, these are basics. Like, these are just basics for groomers that need to get these large senior dogs from the floor to the tub without having to lift, and they weren't open to it. So I was lucky to find my van builder to, I waved the magic wand and they made it happen, and it was perfect. So,
I mean, that is crazy. So you guys have been using prototypes in Vanity for, right around today. Like, are you actually using them as your primary vans right now?
Our first prototype started a year ago. And by the way, like, I tested that van hard the first year. It was running full time, like full time. I'm in Southern California, so I know some people that are not in California are going to laugh at me when I say it was a super cloud covered, because it's solar powered. But I didn't plug the van in for a whole month, and I couldn't get the batteries under 70%. So it really blew our minds, to be honest.
I mean, that's crazy.
For a year now, we have 3 prototypes, and we've got it pretty dialed in now. So.
Okay, so just to clarify, are like the amenities, like the water heater and stuff like that, that's the solar power batteries, or the van is an electric van?
So it is a gas powered vehicle, but the grooming area is all solar power, lithium battery, inverter. We don't idle at all. If we idle, it's only because we've done so many dogs that day, we've got to reheat our water. And we don't use the traditional water heaters.
Wow.
Something different that is pretty unique and not being used anywhere. So
that's amazing. Okay, so you don't idle, so that obviously saves you on gas money. It saves you on noise. I mean, that noise is crazy. I mean, do the batteries still give off enough power to do some of these, like run traditional dryers, run traditional everything? Do they still give enough power to do all that stuff?
We run everything that was ever in any of my generator power mobiles, and we are able to run it's called a Master Blaster. It's got a lot of power. That sucker is dual motor, and we can use both motors at one time and blow through that Akita Husky, no problem. No problems with power.
That's amazing. All right.
Yeah.
That is so freaking cool.
Thank you.
I mean, you're literally like the Elon Musk of dog grooming here, just kind of building out vans.
I do have a Tesla, and I do have Elon Musk air freshener picture in there. Hey, you got to give it to the guy for the few things he's done, right? So
yeah, just a couple. No, that's amazing, well, Gina. I mean, I really appreciate that. You'll have to either, I don't know if you can send me a picture or what we're allowed to show here, but I would love to show off some of that sort of stuff. especially if you guys get them in production. To stay on the vans topic here, I'm curious, as someone like you, you've gone from 0 to 7 vans, and we use that loosely here because I know you've got some, you franchise some out. I don't know if you own a certain percentage of them either. How do you, this is just a broad question, but I'm curious how you did it to go from 1 to 2. Do you, and to even go from every next van, do you finance your vans? Do you pay for them out of your cash that you make from the business? How do you approach that? Because obviously that can be a big hurdle, especially in mobile grooming with how expensive some of the vans are.
I think financing, and now, we offer 100% financing for the vans. That's the way to go, because you don't want to be out of pocket. You don't want to be in the red before you start. You can do, a few dogs and make your payment. So I would tell anybody that's starting out in business, just finance if you can finance, because a small payment over time. Now, later on, if you want to lump sum and get it paid off so you can, not, then do that when you've got your business built up to do that. So I'm all financing all day. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I like that because I've talked to people even on this podcast that have gone, 5 vans plus, and there's 2 different sides of the coins. And I have mad respect for people that do it out of the cash of the business. But if you have the ability, just like you said, I don't know why you wouldn't finance, because it is, it's a little bit more risk friendly, A, and B, even, you might pay a little premium on the interest, obviously, that you're borrowing, but you're not having to outlay $60K plus up front. That money could be going towards hiring another groomer, getting better supplies, everything that you would need to run your business, marketing, all that sort of stuff. Talk to me about the first days in your first van. It's you. I don't know when you went from trailer to van, but you're in your van. How did you start looking to set your prices? How to walk me through some of the early customer stories? What was it like in those early days pre-Jean with 7 vans?
Oh man. So first of all, you just know the local, other groomers. By the way, a couple of them were pretty new too. So pricing was just what, some others have been doing. And to be honest, this is a hot topic in the mobile grooming industry specifically. And I wish we could all just come together and say, hey, what's the baseline of pricing? Because when somebody prices way down here because they're new, which I did, we're mostly all guilty for it. We drive too far, we price too low, we undervalue ourselves. I'm guilty, and so I think one day I realized, maybe 3 years in, I'm doing this doodle and I'm just like, wow, I'm here forever for this amount of money. And then you just finally start talking to other groomers and you realize, yeah, I need to bring these prices up. In fact, we are in year 14, okay? And we have some very old school clients in one particular route. And we've been, now we raise prices every January. And we let them know in October, expect it in January, it's coming. And we let them know it's always going to come every single year, whether at the rate of inflation. But these older clients really they're very still underpriced. And we're hearing from a few of them right now. And we just had to rip the Band-Aid off because our value is too high. We're giving them too much. And even if you're a new groomer, just ask around, find out what your community in your area is pricing. Call them and say, I have a Labrador, I have a Yorkie, what are you pricing? Call everybody and get your medium price. Because if you undercut yourself, you're gonna suffer for years with those old prices. So.
And one thing I like to always think about is, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it's so much harder to raise prices time and time and time and time and time and time and time again versus just setting the prices where they should be at the start, right? I mean, like everyone, like even me, I sit here and I've got questions all the time, like how do I send out that email or that text that I'm going to raise prices? And it's like, yeah, that's hard and that's scary, but it's like, imagine doing that 20 times until you get up to the price level that you should be at versus just like, hey, right off the bat, set a higher price and you can always bring it down if, a little bit, if you feel like your books aren't full for, the first few weeks, first month or so, et cetera. Right. But there's no harm in coming out the gate and pricing where you think it should be at, like a high value price.
Yeah, and get in there with what's happening in your city with the community groomers. Don't price yourself. I wouldn't price myself against groomers that are in Beverly Hills, Calabasas. We're not there. We're inland, so our price is different. Our price structure is different. But yeah, pulling the Band-Aid off and jumping, $10-20 per dog is very unsettling for clients, as it should be. So yeah. Don't let that happen to you.
No, I like that. Okay, so we've talked about pricing. I know when I was searching around your guys' website, or maybe it was another podcast you did, recurring clients is huge to you. You've even mentioned it here today a couple times, saying, hey, we're going to get your dog clean, safe, secure every 4 weeks. He's going to be back in your bed, back in your arms without smelling bad or being muddy. Talk to me about how you set that line for a recurring client. Is it always 4 weeks? Do you give the client a chance to set that at 4, 6, 8? How hard do you push? Just talk to me. It seems like you care a lot about the recurring element, and I love that, and I want to zoom in on it. Give me the deets.
The beauty about mobile pet grooming is that you have it's a recurring revenue model. The beauty about that is that you have business in March, you have business in June, you have business in August. So that is the beauty about our business. Whereas if I were, maybe in a shop, maybe, I can't get them to walk in my door, but we're coming to you. So we're going to just set it and forget it. And so we tell the clients, and they know because most humans out there that have pets that have tried to get anywhere across the country, I hear it because I talk to a lot of people across the country. No matter where you're in Philadelphia, here in California, Idaho, wherever you are, it's hard to find a mobile groomer. So you better get in that schedule because if you don't, it might be hard to get in later. And they do. And even if they don't get on a schedule, they will eventually, because they realize it took me 2 months to get in or whatever it takes. And sometimes you got to let them know, your service is of high value. Get your schedule, set it today. So we offer 2-week, 4-week, 6-week, and 8-week, just so that it's friendly on the route side of things. So we can keep our routes concise, close together. We're never driving further than 20 minutes from that's the furthest we'll ever drive. And it's only once in the day. But yeah, I think I answered your question, I hope there. So yeah.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So 2-week, 4-week, 6-week, 8-week. What do you think? Let's start high level. How many of your clients are on recurring schedules?
I know that too. It's 85 to 90%.
Oh my gosh, that's freaking amazing. Virtual high five for that one. 85 to 90% is so good. Okay, so now we work backwards. Of the 85 to 90%, we don't need to go percentages for each, but what is the most popular frequency?
4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay.
4 weeks. We have some clients that are so we allow 4 weeks, but you can also do 1, 2, and 3 because obviously the more that they recur,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Okay. And 4 weeks, are these full service grooms that you're pushing every 4 weeks, or is it every 2 of them is a full service and the in-betweens are maintenance? How are you guys usually scheduling these out, or what's the recommendation? Obviously it's kind of up to the client a little bit. I don't know how hard you guys push stuff, but are they full service?
Yeah, it is a full service groom. However, we do tidies, so if they wanted to just do a tidy, feet, face, fanny, just for the bath, really, kind of a maintenance thing. Yeah, we offer that as well. We don't really get into the weeds too much because I don't want to make salespeople out of my groomers. We have a few add-ons and we don't really even push that very hard. We want our groomers to just drive, be with the dog, put in their music or whatever they want to zone out to, and just enjoy the job of what they do and be with the pets in a comfortable. We don't want them having to go and try to worry about rebooking and, oh, hey, by the way, all these add-ons, trying to upsell. Yeah. We don't want that for them. We want them to really enjoy what the job is, because it is enjoyable when you don't have to do all those things,
Well, and I feel like that's where the burnout comes is when you're like, hey, I just signed up to play with dogs, and groom dogs all day. I didn't sign up to be a top-notch customer relationship person. I didn't sign up to answer the phones 24/7 or do scheduling or even keep track of my tips. I didn't sign up to do any of that. Yeah. And obviously, we got both sides of the coin here, but at the end of the day, your groomers are best at grooming, and most groomers out there are best at grooming. And so I like that you as a business owner, you're like, hey, I just want to make sure you can just groom.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and I've had people where I, just hiring where, somebody wanted to make more money. She liked doing the upsell. She liked, she made a lot of money. Sorry, you're going to hear a dog, of course. This podcast wouldn't be relevant if there wasn't a dog barking.
Wouldn't be the Daily Groomer without that. Oh yeah, we have dogs 24/7 barking in the back.
Okay, so hopefully it's not too distracting, but she really liked the upsell because she was an earner. She wanted to do as many dogs as she could, but that's not really what mobile grooming. You're not really turning and burning. It's more quality of life, I think, for mobile grooming.
And one thing that I am curious about before we go on to our last section of the podcast is I've heard from you and a bunch of people, even just specifically over the last couple of weeks, talk to me about the relationships that you can build in mobile versus brick and mortar. And I've always had this question, Jean, in the top of my mind. I feel like you see clients 10 times less in mobile than you do in brick and mortar, right? Let's say I'm in brick and mortar, client comes in, I see their face, I shake their hand, they're bringing their dog, we're doing the handoff, etc. Right? Versus mobile, a lot of times, correct me if I'm wrong, but most people are showing up. Maybe they have a key, maybe they're going right into the backyard, etc. They're bringing the dog back to the van, doing it, dropping it back off. Yet, many, you yourself included, mobile groomers say that they have a tighter relationship with their clients because they're mobile. Why is that?
We go to their homes, we're there in their homes every 4, 6, 8 weeks. It's ridiculous how spoiled my groomers get and all of the gifts that they get. In fact, that's what we do all during the holidays. It's, oh, look what I got today. Or they get Valentine's, they're going to get Valentine's gifts tomorrow. So, they're so spoiled and, very generous tips because the clients are just so grateful. You've come to my home. They become family. It really is the truth. Like I said, I've had groomers that have been 7, 8, 9 years. And we have one route in particular where they've had a lot of turnover with the groomers. And the clients haven't been used to that. So it's been really kind of difficult for those clients to understand that they don't get the same groomer every single time, and so but they realize, hey, it's better to have a groomer than none at all, because it's just, that's just how that's gone. But it is a very different and personal experience in mobile grooming. And the backyard dogs, like you're saying, how you go to the backyard, those are great because if you fall behind in your schedule, you can don't have to worry about showing up at a specific time for those. But we don't have very many of those. They have to be dogs that the groomer knows and knows that they can get from a backyard. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Buster can have 20 more minutes of playtime outside and he's not going to know the difference. But that makes a lot of sense. You're going to their homes. And so even if you're not, seeing them on a day-to-day basis, you're probably communicating with them through text or phone call a little bit more. And think about the feeling. They have no inconveniences in their life at all. A lot of times I would imagine they come home from work, Buster's clean and happy, and they're like, heck yeah, that was amazing. So I love that. I love that. And I've always wondered that. And I like hearing it from you because you've obviously seen it tried and true here now. So I'm a believer. All right, let's move on to my last segment here. I haven't come up with a good name for this yet, but I've been doing it recently with a lot of our guests. I'm going to call it the Hot 3. I don't really know what to call it, but it's kind of like 3 questions at the end of the episode that I like to ask you that are just, I want quick answers. I want quick kind of one-liners, quick takes for.
Okay.
Hot 3. So the first question of our Hot 3 is, what's your favorite grooming tool that you could not live without? And that could be for you or your staff.
Thinning shears. It's the groomer's eraser. We're not perfect, so I'm going to go with the thinning shears. Blenders to cover that mistake if you had to.
The groomer's eraser. Love it. Okay. Hot question number 2. What's the hardest client you've ever had? No names, just what happened and how did you deal with it?
Could never be happy, could never be satisfied. So we realized we probably won't be the best solution for her. Him.
Yeah. I mean, you guys know your value, and if someone
Yeah.
else doesn't see that, it's just best to cut
And you
cords.
try to make them happy as much as possible, but when you can't make them happy ever, you're going to have to move on. Yeah.
Okay. And my favorite question that I get to ask everyone: what's the best part of your day, Gene?
That's a tough one. Every part of the day. You know what it is? Especially with new clients, when you bring that dog back and the whole family is there and they're like, oh my God, Fluffy, Buster, whoever, you're so cute. You're so amazing. Look at you. And the dog's just a bath dog, by the way. And they act like it's just the most amazing thing ever. That is one of my favorite things for sure.
I
And
love that.
they
I
love us
love
so
that.
much. And they love their dog is clean. And how cute is he? And that I think is one of the best parts of grooming and mobile grooming, because you get to see them in their home, you know?
No, I love that. Yeah, and how they interact in a completely calm and comfortable environment.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. All right, Gene. Well, we really, really appreciate you. I want to give you a chance to shout out where people can find you. You know, if people want to learn more about Vanity Fur and how they can join your program, if not for the cool Elon Musk vans, but for the ability to be able to work with you, where can
Yeah,
people find you? Where can people, sign up or learn more? Shout all
totally.
that goodness out.
And by the way, if anybody has any questions, uh, I am an open book. Please just ask. You couldn't even ask me a stupid question. So, like, I've been doing this for 14 years. We're all a community that wants to help one another. You can email me, Jean, Jean, at vanityfurs, plural, FURS.com, or you can find us at Vanity Furs, plural, anything on social media. Our website is vanityfurs.com, and that's us. And thank you so much, Alex, for having us. I appreciate this.
Awesome, Gene. Well, you're a rock star. We want
You
to see you in the
too.
community just so we can have people, you can answer questions real time. I'm sure everyone is already probably doing it, saying, oh, Alex, you should ask this, you should ask this, you should ask this. I know, guys, I can't ask it all. I can't remember it all. But Gene, we'll see you in the Facebook community to answer any questions that I must have missed.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. You take care.
That's fun.